Healing begins today for the Lewis County School District after a bus crash yesterday afternoon sent more than 20 kids to the hospital. KHQA's Chad Douglas is live this morning in front of the Blessing Hospital emergency room where most of the injured were taken. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning, Kristen. No doubt it has been a tough night for the children involved in this crash and for their parents. The good news, no fatalities, but there were some serious injuries. Lewis County Sheriff David Parrish does tell us that most of the kids were treated and released last night. However, there are a few kids still here at Blessing Hospital as of this morning. Sheriff Parrish tells us that those kids are listed in stable condition. Now, as for the bus driver, he was treated for minor injuries. The school district itself is not releasing any information to the media until about 9 o'clock this morning. Now, authorities say it could be weeks before we know what caused this crash that sent 24 kids to the hospital. Take a look at this video. It's of crews riding the bus late yesterday afternoon, so you can get a sense of how bad this crash really was. Highway C was closed for several hours last night while crews investigated the crash. The highway is now open this morning. Here's what we know about the passengers who were on the bus. The Missouri Highway Patrol report we looked up this morning shows the oldest student is listed as 12 years old, the youngest as 6, but many of the students, their ages were listed as unknown. Now, the Missouri Highway Patrol now plans to launch a full investigation into why the bus skidded off the road and landed on its top. Sergeant Brent Bernhardt with the Missouri State Highway Patrol says authorities will test the crash site to determine the cause. We're talking to Sergeant Bernhardt a little later in the show about that. Now, as you can imagine, things got a little chaotic here at Blessing Hospital yesterday with such an influx of patients. President and CEO Brad Billings said the hospital staff worked hard to keep people calm during such a hectic situation.
This is something we practice for a lot. We never like to see it happen. So in this case, we were prepared for the kids coming in.
Now, Billings said the patients brought to the hospital had a variety of medical conditions. Blessing Hospital also will have no updates until later this morning. Reporting live in Quincy, Chad Douglas. Kristen, back to you.
Well, Chad Douglas joins us live this morning. Chad, he is by Blessing Hospital. What are you up to?
This is where more than 20 students were taken yesterday after a rollover crash in Lewis County of a school bus. And last night on social media, it was lit up with prayers and support for those students and also their families. We're going to let you know what it was like to be in one of those parents' shoes when we come back with more KHQA This Morning.
517, welcome back to KHQA This Morning. More now on the bus accident in Lewis County that sent more than 20 students and the driver to the hospital. KHQA's Chad Douglas is live in front of Blessing Hospital's emergency room with more. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning, Kristen. There were actually 40 students on the bus when it rolled over into a ditch. As you can imagine, Lewis County parents were very anxious to learn the condition of their kids. KHQA's Allison Brown spent several hours on the scene and caught up with one of those parents. Missouri State Highway Patrol is investigating this crash. So far, no even preliminary information has been given. I called the Missouri State Highway Patrol just before the show started, Kristen, and no updates from overnight as to what may have caused the bus to flip over.
Right now, students, parents, and the entire community are still coming to grips with the school bus crash that sent more than 20 kids to the hospital. Chad Douglas, like I said, is live at Blessing Hospital emergency room where most of the injured were taken. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning, Kristen. If you can imagine a parent's worst nightmare, a phone call no parent ever wants to get. Their student has been involved in an accident and they don't know their condition. And we can tell you this morning, most of the kids have been treated and released. However, Lewis County Sheriff David Parrish did tell KHQA there are a handful of students who are still in Blessing Hospital yet this morning. He says that they are listed in stable condition. As for the bus driver, he suffered minor injuries. Now, the school district itself is not releasing any information until about 9 o'clock this morning. We did speak to one parent who was anxious to find out how this crash happened.
This community is pretty good on keeping their stuff up, and the drivers are real good on good drivers. So it's just, I don't know what could have happened.
Authorities say it could be weeks before we know the cause of this bus crash. Take a look at this video. It's of crews riding the bus from its top. You can get a good sense of just how bad this crash was. Now, it happened on Highway C, which was closed for several hours last night while crews investigated the crash. I can tell you as of this morning, Highway C is back open. And here's what we know about the passengers. The Missouri Highway Patrol report we looked up this morning shows the oldest student on that bus was listed as 12 years old. The youngest was 6. However, there were several students whose ages weren't listed as unknown. Now, next up for the Missouri Highway Patrol, they will launch a full investigation into this bus crash. At this time, there is not a cause of this crash when the bus skidded off the road and landed on its top. Sergeant Brent Bernhardt with the Missouri State Highway Patrol says authorities will test the crash site to try to figure out the cause.
Basically what they'll be doing on scene, and actually have been doing on scene, is they're marking the scene. They'll take a lot of measurements with mapping stations. They'll prepare, once the investigation is completed, they will have prepared a to-scale diagram.
Now, the investigation could take weeks to figure out, and we're going to speak live with Sergeant Brent Bernhardt coming up in our 6:30 half hour. For now, reporting live in Quincy, I'm Chad Douglas. Kristen?
Thanks, Chad.